Welcome back to the FemRap Politics playlist on the channel. Today, I want to discuss the City Girls. If you saw my most recent video on JT and her relationship with Nicki Minaj, I started off talking about how the City Girls have recently released their album and they're doing a lot of press, a lot of interviews, and they're shedding a lot of light on their career, the state of their career, the relationship with each other and their label. And the City Girls, their reputation, I feel like has dwindled in the most recent years, even though they haven't really been out for not even 10. But I just really want to get into like what I think about their career and what I've learned from listening to their most recent interviews. And I'm really interested, for those of you who may be fans of the City Girls or even JT, I'm really interested in your thoughts, because your thoughts are the ones that really matter as supporters of them. So I think from their interviews, they are really telling us about the lack of chemistry that exists between them, their lack of management, lack of label support, and overall lack of credibility with the City Girls brand and the City Girls movement. Some may feel like artists such as Sexy Red may be more relevant than the City Girls and taking over that City Girls lane and fitting more into that city girl lifestyle, which I could definitely agree with. And it's okay, because like you can start something and then it goes somewhere else, or people like do it, like nothing truly is original. I exist because of other channels like me who've inspired me as well. So it makes sense. But I'm particularly interested in the business aspect, because I just love learning about the music business, the behind the scenes, and all that tea. All this gossip and like beef tea is like, all that is cool. But for me, like the business stuff is really what is really tea, because like that just tells you about why things are happening the way it is. And all we ever get to see is what happens on the surface level in the interviews, on stage, in the music. We don't get to see what's really going on between the meetings and the day-to-day lives of these artists. And so some of the questions in the interview, if you watch the Breakfast Club interview as well as the Hot 97 interview with Nessa, speaking of their lack of chemistry between each other, these songs we can tell were old, that were on this last album, Raw, that was recorded, I think, either when they were both living in Miami or Atlanta. We know that JT is with Uzi now, and she spends a lot of time in LA living with him, and sometimes in New York, as she said in these interviews. And so they spoke about like, what's the difference between recording this album and previous albums, and she talked about the location difference. And we know that Miami, she has a lot of business in Atlanta and Miami, so she's probably in between those two. And I don't follow any of these girls, right? So I don't really keep up with them. I'm just talking about what I have learned throughout listening to others and these interviews, right? So if you got more information than me, then please do let me know. And so, not being in the studio and recording together, I'm sure that you can tell the difference between their first album and most current album, their best work, because just having that in studio chemistry in between a group. Like we talk so much today about like how artists collab with each other and they're just sending files back and forth. So collabs today don't really sound so cohesive because they're not physically in the studio together. And I feel like this is a huge factor in the cohesion and in just the vibe of their music and of their aura. On stage, they usually look fine together. I've been watching their performances and their choreo is good. Their chemistry is pretty good for the most part. But in the music, which I feel like is the root of it and where it really matters, I feel like it could be better. Now, management, they spoke about, and several times they spoke about how they don't have management and they're managed by their label. And I think that this is the situation for a lot of the artists who are signed to QC. QC, Quality Control, has their own management arm called Solid Foundation Management, and they had clients like Cardi B, probably managed the Migos for a little bit. And I don't really like this setup, because your manager and your manager is supposed to be your biggest advocate in business, and your label is your label. They don't always see eye to eye, because your label's priorities may not always be your priority. And that's what we're seeing here fall come through with the City Girls, is that like they're talking about their single Pinata. Yo, we think it could have been bigger. We wanted to do more visuals to it. The label did not think Pinata and other songs that they wanted to be singles, they didn't think those songs were strong enough. And that's why their rollout has been messy, because their label is not seeing the value in marketing them and putting the money behind them for these visuals and for their marketing. That's why their rollout is just so quick and it seems all over the place. Although, like, a lot of rollouts are really quick these days, because, for example, another good example was they told the Breakfast Club, like, oh, like, lack of promotion. We really wanted to come promote this album, but our label said no, because they want when artists come and do the interviews and we're sitting here watching it and we're talking about it, they want you to literally watch the interview and then literally right after that go stream their music, their album, or whatever it is that they're promoting. And so I can understand why a label would want to um called like wait until the album is out, the week of the album, so that you can literally just go and press play right after you watch the interview. But obviously the girls need more support because they haven't had a fair shot at their career, because when they got famous, JT had went away, Miami was carrying them, and there's always this theme of JT not experiencing her true artistry, her true potential, and the ups of fame because she went away. Now, I did want to start off with some positivity, but I got ahead of myself. So, they were featured. I think Nessa said they are on the 50th greatest rap groups of all time. I don't know exactly where they place on the list, so that's cool. I also give them credit for, just the City Girls movement and period and everything that they have done to impact the culture, and Black women in the culture. Although I really don't feel like their message is really like the one that I would want to promote to Black women, but that's neither here or there. Impact is an impact. Um, let's talk about attitudes. A lot of times, like Carisha is the one that's well liked, but if you look in these interviews, like Carisha really doesn't say much. It's JT really carrying the interview, and she's talked so much, which is not like a problem, but she says so much, and I actually appreciate JT talking because she takes so much accountability and just provides so much insight as to what is really going on in Miami. I feel like she's such the opposite. She's so concerned about like maintaining her image and just like being the socialite or whatever. And shoot, that's a whole nother conversation anyway. And so like I just wanted to say that like, JT, she seems very humble. Even the situation about their album sales and them having to discuss that in their interviews, like her outlook is so positive on it and focusing on like who was actually supporting the 6 to 8 thousand people who actually bought, who actually streamed. She wants to talk to them, she wants to thank them. And she's been doing that, right? She got on Twitter Spaces and spoke to her fans. And Miami is just like, oh yeah, the haters, like F them and this and that, and I don't care what you guys got to say, like you guys still listen to me anyway. And it's just like such different attitudes, but JT is the one who gets the bad rap for being a B. Why is that? I don't know, but I think you guys need to listen a bit deeper. Yeah, so we talked about management, label support, and chemistry. We talked about everything at this point. Let me see in my notes. They said themselves, and this is really the tea because okay, I love when artists give a glimpse of as to what's happening behind the scenes, but it's like I don't know in this situation, like if I wasn't here doing what I do, I would like take this as like, see, this is why I shouldn't be supporting the city girls, because they're really not doing anything, because they're telling you like we don't sit down and we don't plan out our years, we don't plan out our career, we don't plan out our album, we don't plan out a year or to 6 months, we're not planning anything. And my thing is, it's like, yeah, album got leaked last year, so now you're here putting out this album. It's been the pandemic, JT, you've been home. What have you been doing in the past 3 years? If you haven't been having meetings and strategizing and working on these songs, I'm sure you worked on some of them, but most of them have been recorded years ago. So what is it that y'all are doing? We see Miami out and about doing her podcast, being her socialite self. We see JT coming out a little bit more in recent times, but it's like, what is actually going on there? And it sheds a lot of light between the distance. It's a lot of distance, definitely, between JT and Quality Control, the label. I can't speak too much on Miami because I don't know, even though I'm sure that there's distance there, but it's just like nothing is happening. It's like there's no communication. They're not on the right page. They're not on the same page in terms of the priorities and what they want the City Girls brand to be. And I think this has to be a bigger conversation with the label Quality Control, because they started out with the Migos, City Girls, Lakia, Gloss Up now signed over there. I'm sure they have a whole bunch of artists, and none of them are really doing what they're supposed to be doing right now. There's always these issues in with the groups and stuff like that, and I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with QC. They obviously do not know how to market their female rap talent, but they're going after the female rap talent, and so they're all stagnant. Look at Gloss Up, look at Lakia, all these girls I actually want to talk about, especially Lakia, making another video on, but we will tackle that a different day. But for right now, I just want to say thank you guys so much much for watching. Please save the Fem Rap Politics playlist to your library so that when I do those videos, you get it as soon as it's out, okay? But also please check out the one that I did on Nicki and JT's relationship. It just came out. And I'm gonna put it at the end of this one. And also JT and Ice Spice are rejecting the idea of female rap unity. Those are the themes in these videos. So I want you guys to definitely stay updated with that. And yeah, I appreciate you for watching. Please comment. Let me know your thoughts on the City Girls, the state of their career, their music, and do you feel the lack of chemistry between them? Are you worried about their careers? Because child, I thought it was done after this album, but they're saying it's another album. They're not done, you know. So I'm just trying to get to JT's solo career for real, for real. And I'm sure a lot of you are looking forward to that too. But once again, please like the video. Please let me know your thoughts, and please hit the notification bell when you subscribe, because we have so much more, conversations about this stuff coming up. And I'll see you in the next video.